can go over to Mormon Stories and watch the legitimate discourse on this, or you can watch two bimbos try and figure it out.
Oh no, my phone just died. Now I have to wait for it to read.
So what's on Patreon?
Are you hatching a maniacal scheme or applying lotion?
No, I'm just creaming up. You know?
Just creaming up.
I like to moisturize before I box toddlers.
Yeah, that's definitely the metaphor going into this one. It's just so crazy how the church just is this relentless streak of blumbering. I got nowhere to go with this. It's just amazing how they never stop stopping.
No, they never stopping, because I think I used to think, they got such a good PR team, that's why all the members like stay in the dark. But I'm like, they don't have a good PR team. They publicly how is the amount of money that they got from doing this shady shit worth their reputation when it's a fucking church? Like, your reputation is like the thing. If you don't have that, you have nothing except for $100 billion plus dollars.
This is why they thought, well, the best way to salvage our reputation is by getting a new name so that the stereotypes associated with the old name can pass away and we can enter a new era. If you're saving money, then that's what Jesus cares about most, which is why you have two people in the presence of the Lord's money at all times. In the presence of children being asked questions about their sexuality, they can wing it. But don't you mess with the Lord's money. Yeah. Instant grounds for excommunication. Nothing will get you kicked out of church faster. I've heard that said over and over and over.
What was your calling you used to have? Weren't you like a...
I was a secretary, a clerk, a stake secretary.
Did you have to do a lot of stuff with money?
As a clerk, I did.
Can't believe you had to do those callings in college, by the way.
Oh, yeah, crazy. It's insane that they asked students to do that. I mean, I was working 3 jobs and then, like, a part-time job. All too much. All too much.
Remembers it all too well.
So I don't think we really quite introduced what we're doing. What's going on here? For first-timers, welcome. This is How We Roll. My name's Tanner.
I'm Sam.
And welcome to Zelf on the Shelf. Today we are talking about the news that just broke about the church. Finally, it's been kind of no secret. The church, like a couple years ago, had one of its executives in the investing group turn whistleblower and say, the church is hiding a lot of money. They have way more than they let on. And now the government has finally demonstrated that the church was, in fact, using shell companies that they intentionally disguised.
So a shell company, is that like when the mattress company is a front for the...
Kind of like that.
Drug mafia situation.
Yeah, so you know how all the church, they keep the same branding. It's like Ensign this, Ensign that, Ensign that. They intentionally chose names that wouldn't be linked to the church. And yeah, just as a sort of front for channeling money into the church. So to the tune of over $100 billion. Let me check that.
Well, Tanner, it's just smart investing to have shell companies to defraud the government.
What is the church but 12 shell companies in a trench coat, in a suit and tie in a trench coat?
Also, sorry, I've been sick this week. I'm kind of on the mend now, but that's why my voice sounds a bit and that's why my energy is a bit low today. I'm curious to see how the apologetics are going to evolve, because after we found out how rich the church was, it was, it's just smart for the church to use the system that's in place to its advantage. But it's like, okay, so now that it's actively like lying within that system, now that it's not working within that system, but you can't just use the excuse of, that's what any smart company in the US does.
It was amazing on Twitter today. A Thoughtful Faith, I think they're called on Twitter, made a post that was like, the government is Caesar and the king and the church is Christ. We need to...
What was that thing?
And they're federally funding, they're using our taxpayer money to fund abortions. And it was like, literally, Caesar. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Yeah. Lay up not for yourselves treasures. It's like, yes, we're Jesus. We're Jesus's church. And our thing is doing exactly the opposite of everything he said to do in the Bible. And in the Book of Mormon verses that were plagiarized from the Bible.
I wonder if they're regretting the recent rebrand to, it wasn't really a rebrand, but like how you can just put the name of Christ in the name of the church.
Yeah. That somebody did that today on Twitter. It was like, there was the Trib headline, the Salt Lake Tribune headline that was like, LDS Church fined $5 million for hiding away $100 billion or whatever.
Jesus.
Which is just a drop in the barrel.
Yeah,
it's like a slap
nothing.
on the wrist, really. But then someone was like, am I getting this right, Elder Hammond or whoever? It was like, Jesus fined $5 million.
Brilliant.
So here's an outline of what all transpired. We say that on March 15th, 2005, the church became aware that the public might link this... Oh, sorry, backing up a little bit. We're on item 11, jumping ahead to the juicy bits. Item 9, we saw that the senior leadership of the church approved the creation of these LLCs. So it wasn't
The
just
shell
like...
companies.
Yeah, it wasn't just some like random accountant or random investors. This goes all the way to the top, baby.
Which means it was Jesus.
Yes. They're sitting there in the temple Thursday afternoon with Jesus eating ham sandwiches, and they said, hey, what should we do to fulfill your kingdom? And he was like, if there's one thing I need on this earth, it is money. I can't do anything without money. Also, can we just talk about how they said that the purpose of this money, we'll get to that, is to prepare for the second coming. It's just saved for the second coming. So Christ is going to come back. He's going to burn all the wicked people, which is most of America.
Doesn't really seem like you need money in that situation. If Jesus is back, he can figure that out.
Let alone a fiat currency, U.S. dollars. Like, you burned everybody. You think you're going to need U.S. George Washington bills? Like, that's crazy.
I'd
What
be
are you gonna do?
embarrassed for Jesus if he didn't make his own crypto.
Yeah, right.
Christ coin.
Christo
start
coin.
fresh. Yeah.
Christo.
Yeah. Oh, I hate when the church makes us talk about money on the channel.
I know, because we know nothing
Because
about
I know nothing. But what I do know
is that you shouldn't make dummy corporations to hide it.
Yeah.
So-
I think. So is it normally like, so if the church has, let's say Enzyme Peak, I don't know.
Enzyme Peak, yeah.
It's like the government knows to link them to the church, and so then that like affects their tax and everything.
Yes.
But this is like they're deliberately not linking it to themselves. Is it just because the names are inconspicuous? There's no way for the government to necessarily trace.
Among other things.
Okay.
On March 15th, 2005, the church became aware that the public might link this first LLC to the church because the person signing the Forms 13F was listed in a public directory as a church employee. To address this issue, on March 21st, 2005, the senior leadership of the church approved a new reporting entity to be created with better care being taken to assure that neither the street nor the media could connect the new entity to Ensign Peak.
So basically, they just got new people. They appointed new people to sign the documents and to be in charge of that so that it can't be linked.
Yeah, so it's not an official church employee.
You can go over to Mormon Stories and watch the legitimate discourse on this, or you can watch two bimbos try and figure it out.
Yeah, so they're intentionally trying to distance from Ensign Peak. And it's so funny, they have a auditing attorney stand up every single conference, or maybe it's, once a year, and say, we have done an inventory of the church, and of course, we are hired by the church and active members, so we couldn't possibly be biased, but we can account that everything has been taken care of.
They're going to have to stop doing that. That's going to be so embarrassing.
They don't care about being embarrassed.
No, they don't. They don't. They're cringe core.
So there's more stuff, various items, blah, 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 kind of boring. Get to the juicy bits. In 2015, Ensign Peak became aware that a third party appeared to have connected the holdings of various LLCs back to Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak brought this issue to the attention of the church. The senior leadership of the church approved Ensign Peak's recommendation to gradually and carefully adapt Ensign Peak's corporate structure to strengthen the portfolio's confidentiality.
Oh, so bored. But what's the gist? Explain like M5.
Basically, they're committing investment fraud.
Yes. Okay.
And they got caught.
Are the companies... Is there anything the companies are pretending to do, or are they just kind of random financial... I don't know.
I don't know.
They're not like doing like a mattress store kind of thing.
No, I mean, it probably benefits them in some way, some sort of vertical integration thing. They manufacture the carpet that goes into happens to go to all the church buildings or something. Who knows?
Okay.
Oh, let me get to...
So when that happened in 2005 was when they made the fake companies?
Yes. And then in 2015, they reamped efforts to make sure that all stayed hidden and that people couldn't trace it. Roger Clark, the head of Ensign Peak, which is the investment arm of the LDS Church.
Of course, his name's Roger.
Yeah,
You just knew.
and he looks like a Roger.
He wears a pinstripe suit.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So he said about this, Mr. Clark said he believed church leaders were concerned that public knowledge of the fund's wealth might discourage tithing. If you have so much money as Christ Church on
to
earth...
the government so that people will keep giving it to you, especially when your past prophets openly talked about how there would come a time where the church wouldn't need to take tithing from people.
Exactly. Joseph...
It's like, kind of seems like now, if now's not the time, then when? If you're having to lie about how rich you are so that people, then is that not the perfect time to implement that?
And I love that he even emphasized that it wasn't lying to the government only. He also acknowledged lying to the members, like, we thought if they knew how fucking rich we are, that we're just sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe people wouldn't sacrifice meals and for their children.
Who did Roger say that to?
So that they could pay.
What's the who's he saying that to in that quote?
To the press.
That was a press-facing quote. He thought that would make
this
it
is
better.
a Wall Street Journal article.
Is he a whistleblower of some kind?
He's not the whistleblower. He's responding to the whistleblower.
So he's on the church's side?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a quote from 2020.
Wait, I do believe... I don't think he's the one that left.
Wild if he's pro the church and that's just something you said thinking it would be, like that, they'll understand. That will be the thing that will help our case, saying that we just wanted the poor members around the world to keep giving us 10% of their income.
And to follow up with that Joseph F. Smith quote, remember the F, he said, we expect to, which I assume F stands for finances.
Yeah.
Joseph Finance Smith.
Jesus Finance Christ.
We expect to see the day when we will not have to ask you for $1 of donation for any purpose, because we will have tithes sufficient in the storehouse of the Lord to pay for everything that is needful for the kingdom of God.
Is the storehouse the name of one of the shell companies?
Yeah. The church secretly owns Dave & Buster's.
That's a move I would respect.
They actually do have a ton of Apple and Microsoft's stock.
I know that we know this, but it's just really hard to think that money so clearly is their primary thing. If they're willing to, because I mean, have they just been so used to lying for so long and getting away with it? Maybe early 2000s, internet wasn't as prevalent like it is now. Maybe they just thought it would never come out and so it would be fine. But I'm anytime you lie, you at least have to accept that there's a small risk that the public's going to find out. And you are a church. If people don't believe in you, you're nothing. Except for the $100 billion.
Now, they do have a winning strategy because they know that if they get caught, there's only going to be a minuscule consequence. $5 million out of $145 billion is not that much. So it's a slap on the wrist. And they deal with PR issues every day. And in a lot of ways, it just plays into the narrative that everyone's trying to bring down the church. And the average person is not going to think too deeply. I've just kind of resigned myself to the average person is just not going to think that deeply about shit. They got too much going on. They got a job. They're trying to make ends meet so that they can pay their tithing to stay worthy for this organization so that they can get their mansion in the sky. Thank God we have all these real estate development corporations posing as religions that can offer us real estate on earth and real estate in heaven. Sign up and get your mansion in heaven today.
That's the finance way.
Sometimes I start a rant and I just hope it goes well.
Oh, yeah. That's this whole channel.
It is interesting. Something I wanted to bring up about this whole thing is the double standard that always exists, that typically exists in cult-like organizations. This is part of the Bite model, that the leadership or the organization of a group, religion, has to abide a certain set of rules that the normal lay membership doesn't, or vice versa. Usually stricter on the everyday goer and a little easier for the people at the top. So when the church gets caught committing financial fraud, They don't have to apologize.
No.
They don't have to repent. They don't get their temple recommend taken away. They don't have to sit outside their daughter's wedding.
Well, because as long as it was in the name of money, then it's fine. In the name of money for them.
Now, if you steal money from the church, straight to hell.
Yeah.
Do not pass go to
Straight
not
to
collect
hell.
$200.
Believe it or not, jail forever.
And actually, financial predator behavior. This is from the church handbook.
Oh, delicious.
A membership council is required, and if an adult has a history of deliberately and repeatedly harming people financially, this includes investment fraud and similar activities. So yeah, you can be punished for evading taxes, for committing fraud. But if the church does it, that's just in the name of saving up $1 billion so that when Jesus comes again, he'll have those George Washingtons to greet him.
Have they, because that quote's from 2020, has the church spoken out since this news broke this week? Has the church
I do believe they have.
talked about it? What's their excuse? They're like, in our defense, we just really wanted the money.
Wow, there's a post in the new church newsroom about affinity fraud.
That's probably a topic they
wrote the
needed
book
to
on
cover,
it.
Yeah. Isn't Utah #1 for affinity fraud?
Oh, it's James
Someone
Huntsman.
Google check that.
This is top state for affinity fraud. Oh, James Huntsman, brother of former Utah Governor John Huntsman, filed the fraud lawsuit against the church, alleging that the church spends tithing monies from its members on commercial ventures rather than charity.
That was the thing that happened a few years ago.
Yes. I can't believe we haven't brought this up already. That, it's something we say often, but bears repeating, that Jesus, that in the Bible says that true religion undefiled is to visit the widow and the homeless, to feed the hungry, clothe the naked. And you would think that the church's primary financial venture would be to be doing that, to be fulfilling the mission of Jesus Christ on the earth, but they're not. They're literally laying up their treasures where moth and dust and inflation doth corrupt. Like, We've got how many people homeless in Salt Lake City, but we've built a multi-billion-dollar luxury shopping mall before we've ever touched that issue. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and it's prosperity gospel has to be what's driving it, right? Because I think people in the church just have this mindset of like, well, God will bless you if you're a faithful Mormon. So, it doesn't make sense for us to give a bunch of charity to all these people. Like, the only charity that actually matters is bringing the gospel, bringing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to their doorsteps. And that is a way that they sort of justify in their minds why they don't do shit. When they have so much power to do so much good. But I don't... It's kind of the issue with Christianity in general in the US is like, because they think that suffering is a test from God and because everything is just all about the next life, it just doesn't seem important to really do anything to help anyone's reality in this life because they don't even really see it as valid. If they're not even the right kind of believers, who gives a shit? Like, the only thing that they actually need is like the beliefs that we have, but it's just total projection because it's like that's just what members need to believe to like reckon with the fact that poor people exist and that the world isn't this tiny middle-class Mormon bubble. Right.
So sorry you were born into these circumstances. So sorry that these circumstances have led you to experience so much more suffering than I will ever have to cope with. I hope you're justly compensated in the hereafter. I really believe you will be.
Yeah, and it shows how...
What a test of faith. You're so strong.
It shows how completely, if they have any kind of sympathy for poor people, for example... It's so abstract as to basically be useless because it doesn't... If you truly feel empathy for people in need, you want to help with through material means.
Yes.
It's really quite simple, but there's a lot of mental gymnastics that they do to get to dance around that fact.
You're
but it's
starving to death? Well, man shall not live by bread alone, mon frere.
Oh, God.
Try eating the good word of life. You ever heard of Jesus? They call him the bread of life. Have a little nibble on him. And we eat his body every Sunday in church.
Yeah.
Even offer you a little chaser of water to go with it. wine's too expensive. We're not splashing out for these folks.
They have enough scriptures to where they could totally, there's a reality where they could be very charitable. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like the Book of Mormon has nothing in it about charity, or the Bible has, you know, they sure love to cherry pick like the homophobic stuff, and you know, it makes me sad that this is a church that has the power to get people to give them 10% of their income. Because if we could have people generally give 10% of their income to effective altruistic causes, we could really make waves on this planet in terms of reducing suffering.
Or buy up so many cattle ranches in Florida that it would make you sick. What about that?
Cows. So it's like the fact that they have that much power and influence and money, and it's just squandered. Completely not doing anything with it. Just the bare minimum amount of charitable giving that they can like feasibly get away with while like seeming like they do stuff. Because, you know, if you hear that the LDS Church gives $1 million to so-and-so, you're like, oh, that's so much money. But it's like, you know, it's like Walmart gives more than that to like cover up some latest PR thing. Or, you know, it just is completely meaningless. It's like me giving like 1 penny to a homeless person. It's like, yeah, sure, better than nothing. But like, you could have easily given them $1.
Mm-hmm. I was going to point out that, of course, the LDS Church does things. It's, you know, it's not that they do absolutely nothing, but it is that. It's like in comparison with what they earn, especially in comparison to organizations of comparable size or influence are doing, without even claiming to be God's one true church on the face of the earth, then it is ridiculous. Like, and so many of the you know, I don't want to knock humanitarian effort. It's great. Like, glad that they're doing what they're doing, but again, in contrast with everything else going on and how much they have, it's just minuscule. I'd absolutely
like to knock their humanitarian efforts. I feel like they're piss poor. They're not even trying.
It's often very self-centered and focused on the PR optics, which is why they got bright yellow shirts. You know, Jesus says, shirts. Don't let your left hand know what your right is doing. You know, give your alms and secrets, pray in your closet. And they're like, well, I'll let you know what both my Mormon helping hands are doing, and that's serving and helping and making a difference. Have you ever thought about becoming a Mormon? It's so tight. You could give all your money to us. It's great.
Isn't it sad that it's pretty rare for a person in this world to give 10% of their income to a cause. Mm. Like, it's very hard to get people to donate 10% of their income to a good cause. But because the church has such a stronghold on people's psyches, and because they have, like, taken hold of their identities in such an extreme way, people are willing to give 10% of their income to the Mormon church because, you know, for the spiritual brownie points, or because they think that their salvation depends on it. Because they've been threatened that they will be burned alive if they don't. But it's just sad that because it is quite unique that the Mormon church takes 10% of people's income. Like, that is extreme. You don't hear of that many churches that are like that, especially not with such an explicit standard of how much you should give. Yes. I have heard 10% because it is a biblical thing in various churches, but yeah, again, with that, like, you have to do this or you can't come into our super special temples and be sealed with your family. Like, your whole family and well-being and salvation is constantly being held hostage to it, versus the like, yeah, we're going to pass around a basket, and if you feel called, go for it. Like, isn't it sad that people are motivated to give 10% of their income essentially out of fear and out of, like... No, it's for the blessings. It's fear, the blessing of not being perceived burned. Personal gain. But just the suffering of people alone isn't enough to be motivational enough. Sorry, I'm really doing a bad job speaking today. But, you know, it's just sad that it's like a huge deal to get people to donate 10% of their income to a cause. And all these people are just like thinking that they're giving to a cause that is going to do the, you know, probably the most good, or at least top 10. I imagine if, you know, when I was a Mormon, I mean, I probably thought the Mormon church was the best person that could have my money. Oh, I always thought that. Yeah, like number one. But even maybe the more skeptical members, you would at least think like top 100 or something. I don't know. I'm spinning out. But it's just really sad that people like think that they're making a difference when it's like, if we could get 10 million people, I don't know how many people actually pay tithing, but if we could get every Mormon to give 10% of their income to a good cause, oof, it'd be so good. I love how God...
punishes us.
Ah!
Shit!
What the fuck?
God is punishing us!
God is punishing us!
Bernie is going ape shit.
Insane right now.
There's a poltergeist. Did you see a bug?
I don't know what's going on.
He's seeing ghosts. There's demons in here.
Don't be scared.
We always knew he'd bring this whole operation crumbling down. What was I saying? Oh, God either punishes us, the old stick, or the carrot. And the carrot is, I won't hit you with the stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nobody I would trust more than this real estate and investment firm. They're obviously very good at it, but I'm investing. Every time I pay a little in my widow's mite into the church's coffers, I'm investing in my eternity.
You know, I suppose when they set up these fake companies, it wasn't public knowledge how much money the church had, because that was a thing that happened in recent years. Mm-hmm. But still, it's like if once people found out that the church had a shit ton of money, way more than anyone could have imagined, members didn't really seem to be fazed.
No, they're like, this is good. This strengthens my testimony, actually.
It's like 100 billion, 140. Like, what's the fucking difference at that point? Like, if people are brainwashed, they're brainwashed. They're not going to really care. So it just seems, again, so stupid that they would do this, because it's just left them vulnerable to terrible PR.
But when you're, preaching to a congregation that's been inculcated in this culture, that it's just, it's all the same thing, and they're all just like, yeah, manifest destiny, yeah. Money is good. Yeah, Jesus was a godforsaken hippie socialist usurper. Crucify him. I don't know if they'd say that, but I feel like if the Mormon church got caught investing in a time machine to go back in time and kill baby Jesus, there would be members that were still like, this strengthens my testimony,
That's what
actually.
Needed to happen.
This is just...
That's actually how we know that the church is true. Checkmate.
Well, what did we learn today?
Oh, God. I don't know. I guess we learned that, if you guys wanted to join us on our Patreon, we promised to not start any shell companies to cover up how much money we have.
I don't promise that, but it's going to be a nice company that will send you assorted shells, maybe puka necklaces.
Puka shells.
I love when we get commentators who are like, oh, the LDS Church is bad for getting tithing, but you guys get money on your channel. And it's like, yeah, we didn't have to threaten anyone's family to get them to do it. We were just like, hey, if you have the means and feel like it, go for it. Don't go hungry. Don't, go be on your meat.
We're not pretending to be doing it. We're using it to pay our rent and our bills, and so that we can keep doing this channel. Yeah, we do rely on our patrons to keep this channel going, because we don't even make minimum wage on YouTube. So just if that factors into your decision to go over there and support us.
Give us 10% of your money or else you will be burned. Again, the Kevin test. Bringing back the Kevin test.
Bring him back.
Kevin says if you don't give him... it's kind of how the church, that elder said that you could swap out the name of Jesus for the church. So now Jesus owns $5 million. It's just Kevin. Kevin says if you don't give him 10% of your money, he's going to burn you alive when he comes back. So he needs that. And we're on Kevin's team, so...
And Kevin says even if you can't afford to feed your family, give money to the $100 billion corporation first.
Yes.
$100 billion being the flattering number of how much they have, because they actually have more than that.
Have you ever smelled burning flesh? Trust me, you do not want to smell it. It's gross. And this whole area here, up in smoke. It's gonna be disgusting.
Kevin's a hell of a grill daddy.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for supporting the channel. We love you so much.
Is that the end of the...
I don't...
Is that the end of the saga? We're not claiming to be doing a comprehensive dive.
We're just chatting.
Yeah, just shooting the shit. So they haven't defended themselves?
If you want to do some Googling, the church released the following statement on Tuesday, February 21st. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and its affiliated investment manager, Ensign Peak Advisors, Inc., have settled a matter with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Investment managers who oversee a portfolio of public equities above a certain threshold are required to file Forms 13F with SEC quarterly. Boring. They're just answering, frequently asked questions about our fraud case. Did Ensign Peak fail to comply with SEC regulations?
We reached resolution with the SEC, aka we paid the fine for being guilty.
I love how they asked a yes or no question. Did Ensign Peak fail to comply? Yes or no? And then they said, we reached resolution.
We figured it out.
We're not going to say we did anything wrong. We resolved it, okay? I don't have to admit any wrongdoing. I do not have to confess. I do not have to feel sorry.
Where does the $5 million come from to satisfy the settlement? The investment returns of the church will be used to pay the settlement. Investment returns. So they're admitting that they invest people's tithing and then they use that other money
to pay their fraud fines.
Yeah, to do their own stuff.
So they can keep investing in money-making.
How are the churches... what website is this? This is on their website. Yeah, how are the churches' reserves invested? Following the principle of preparing for the future, both near and long term, the church maintains diversified reserves. All funds are invested solely to support the church's mission. No, they're not. The mission is just money for the sake of money.
I thought Oaks just said that the church's mission wasn't diversity. Did you see that?
No.
He gave this talk about how diversity is not an aim of the Church of Jesus Christ, and then the church PR team took it down.
One human fucking family. Isn't
I love when the prophets get censored
message?
By the bureaucracy. It's great.
How can you possibly say that when you say that your mission is to bring the gospel to the whole world? How can you possibly say diversity is not your aim? You are just revealing how stupid you are.
And that man is a bag full of hay. I can't believe that he was on the Utah Supreme Court. He was like, I saw that statement of him where he was like, accepting homosexuality would result in national suicide as nobody would be able to reproduce. And it's like, you think everybody is just going to magically turn gay if we allow gay marriage and that nobody will be able to procreate after that? Like, what? What university did he attend? It was probably BYU.
Will this settlement impact Ensign Peak's ability to continue to make investments? No.
Not at all, baby.
We're going to keep doing this forever.
Again, no sign of remorse, no steps of repentance, no nothing. What about the article of faith about obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law? Oh my God, actually, thoughtful of faith, again, I just remembered another thing of theirs on Twitter where he was like, somebody was criticizing the church, saying, I thought you believed in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. And he was like, you're the type of person in Nazi Germany who would have turned in your Jewish neighbor because you believe in sustaining the law. And it's like, okay, well, you have officially described the official stance of the church during Nazi Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, what an unhinged comparison to make.
Yeah.
Stealing money is the same. Like,
I know.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, so marginalized, these $100 billion investment companies. God bless their hearts. They can't even breathe in today's economy.
If you're interested in the church's presence in Nazi Germany, check out our Why Mormons Make the Best Nazis video.
You did a really good video with Alex Crandall on the church and money.
Yeah, and the church has a business
That's
structure.
definitely worth watching.
Yeah, we'll link to both of those.
We'll link it. Yeah, we really would like it if you would give us some money, please.
Now.
Yeah, just
give it now. Now.
However much you see fit.
Now.
But you will be blessed.
Now.
More for giving more.
Yeah, what can we, since apparently you can just promise anything, I promise that if you send us money on Patreon, you will get a magical flying pony in the hereafter. Mark my words, you can take that to the bank.
Anything. Give us 10% of your money, your collagen won't degrade throughout your 30s. Okay? You'll stay supple forever. We promise. We guarantee it.
And I, the Lord, will pour out a blessing upon you so great you won't even know how to receive it.
It's going to be so dope.
You'll be drowning in blessings.
Literally.
You're
going to be begging me to stop. Kevin, no.
All right. Is that it?
Back to our snow day.
If you want to join us on Patreon, we're reading another Jack Whalen book, and we just got some new Jack Whalen merch in.
Oh, I'm so excited about the Jack Whalen merch.
So check it out.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun time.
Our Patreon is so fun right now. We're only 3 episodes into the series, so it's an ideal time to join, quickly catch up, and yeah.
All right.
Be on the same page.
Love you.
Bye. Let's